When I met Jill, when I lost my family, I got put in that 10 most eligible bachelors list.
Because you were a United States Senator, you were a catch, yeah.
And so, and a lot of lovely women, but women would send very salacious pictures, and I just give them to the Secret Service. I thought somebody would think I was. And when I met Jill,
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless, the radio show, and right here, wherever you're watching from. And to make sure you guys don't miss a minute of any of the breaking news I discuss here and in the future, make sure you like this video wherever you're watching from, reshare it, share it with your friends, especially if you're on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Retweet right now. It's right down there. Let's go. Subscribe to the channel. Go over to YouTube, look up Speechless with Kev, subscribe there, and you won't miss a minute of anything we're going to talk about. Get on in the comments, everybody. I'll interact with you. I'll bring them up on screen. We'll talk about them, and let's get on into it. But the breaking news story of the day, Joe Biden went on the Howard Stern show, which is very interesting. It was just trending a lot earlier this week that the New York Times ran kind of a hit piece on Biden, saying that he elusively evades a lot of different interviews and going on different shows, talking to certain reporters. We, of course, know that in the past, a former ESPN reporter came out and said that her entire interview with Biden was scripted from beginning to end. She had no journalistic integrity with it, and it was entirely put into her hands, laid into her lap so that Joe Biden could just get there and memorize a script. This is what our president currently does, everybody. But in an attempt, they tried to go in a very interesting direction by putting Biden with Baba Booey Howard Stern, famed radio host and shock jock, who consistently says things and does things that many would deem to be, at a minimum, edgy, and that's an understatement. In fact, even at one point, talking with now retried Harvey Weinstein, and discussing the fact that maybe Harvey could take advantage of his power and sexually assault women. In fact, that's exactly what Harvey did do, but he still denied it on Howard Stern's show. Howard Stern, of course, has a long and famed career of making a fool of himself and making a fool of others on his show. Let's take a look and listen once again to that first clip in which Joe Biden discusses getting salacious pictures, nudes of some kind, maybe, while he's a senator. Let's go back to that right here.
When I met Jill, when I lost my family, I got put in that 10 most eligible bachelors list.
Because you were United States.
So Biden was one of the 10 most eligible bachelors. Now, I don't necessarily know everybody who was in the Senate at the time, but something tells me either the Senate had a very, very slim pickings year, or Joe's lying. One of those two.
Senator, you were a catch. Yeah.
And so, and a lot of lovely women, but women would send very salacious pictures, and I
got some salacious pictures.
Just give them to the Secret Service. I thought somebody would think I was, and
so he just gave them to the Secret Service. And now the thing that's really unclear about this is why the Secret Service, whose role is to protect the president and investigate counterfeiting and fraud, would have any interest in amateur softcore pornography sent to Biden while he was an unmarried senator from 1973 to 1977. Doesn't make any sense. Biden also shared other colorful accounts with Stern, saying that he had, quote, never been to bed with his first wife, Nelia Hunter, when he told her, quote, I think I'm going to marry you. Why are these things that they're discussing? Why is this anything that the president would need to know? In fact, I'm sorry, that Howard Stern would need to know, or anybody would need to know about the president. I have that question consistently. But Joe Biden also just flat out lied multiple times during this interview with Stern. Take a look and a listen to this clip from the show with Stern, in which Biden discusses a pretty consistent lie that he has told multiple times about fighting during the civil rights movement. This one's quite interesting. You might have heard this one before. Take a look and a listen.
And I looked at my mom. I said, honey, you haven't said anything. She said, Joey, let me remember True story. So remember when they were desegregating Linfield, the neighborhood? There was, 70 homes built at one suburbia. And I told you, and there was a black family moving in, and there was people who were down there protesting. I told you not to go down there, and you went down. Remember that? And you got arrested for standing on the porch with a black family.
Right.
And they brought you back, the police. And I said, "Yeah, Mom, I remember that."
There is no account or record of this whatsoever. The president has previously claimed that he was involved in the civil rights movement and that he had been arrested, but at other points he admitted he was uninvolved, and there's no evidence that he was ever arrested. The story keeps changing. But this is what happens when you are a constant liar. This is where DC gets the reputation that it has, where politicians get the reputation that they have. Joe Biden is emblematic of the decades-long swamp that has been boiling and festering in the hellhole that is the District of Columbia. And when I say hellhole, it's not actually like a disgusting city or anything like physically. I mean more so from a metaphorical hellhole. You have tons and tons of people there who are self-interested when their entire job is to actually be interested in what you want, the people. Joe Biden also continued in the lies in this instance, in which he discusses being some level of a record-breaking lifeguard. Take a look and a listen to this clip here of Joe Biden once again claiming some more lies. Here's that.
Did you ever save anyone's life when you were a lifeguard? Was anyone ever drowning?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, well, half a dozen times. Usually younger kids, but
You do the thing with the whistle and then jump in the bathing
Yeah.
suit? And
you got it.
no kidding.
Yeah, there's a big pool. There were 7
I love how Howard Stern in this too. Howard Stern just acts like it's almost like he's never been to a pool before. He's like, you do that whole thing. Like he's only like watched like 80s movies in which from the summer, like where somebody's a lifeguard in it. And he's like, oh man, like I just watched Baywatch. That's 90s, but I just watched Baywatch. You do the whole thing with the bathing suit, the whistle, and you just go save them. Like that's just how you did it. Like that's what a lifeguard does. Like, oh my God, like shut up.
lifeguard stands.
Oh, wow. See, that would define my. I would brag about that everywhere I went.
Well, by the way, I did it up in Lake Ontario too when I was in law school. But look, one of the things that
What, you saved a dude's life when you were in law school? You were still doing the lifeguard thing?
The lifeguards, I mean, people just need help sometimes.
People just need help sometimes. Again, there's no evidence to show that any of this is true. And bumbling Joe Biden is acting like he's some level of look. And here's the thing: is I wouldn't really dive this deep into it, but when you have so many accounts of Joe Biden talking himself up and acting as if he's some level of a hero or that he deserves all this credit, instead of actually doing anything that's worthy of bragging about. He has been president of the United States for almost 4 years. He was vice president for 8 years, and yet he's trying to make himself seem like some level of a teenage hero in the fact that he got nudes from people while he was like a freshman senator, and that he saved some lives maybe while he was a lifeguard back in the 60s and 70s. This makes no sense. Why is that what you would be bragging about? Nowhere in this does he ever. The only time that Joe Biden ever actually discusses any credit while he's being a president was while Howard Stern did everything but give him fellatio on the broadcast. I mean, take a look and listen to this point in which Joe Biden now says that he'd be happy to debate Donald Trump, but most of this entire segment that was on the Howard Stern show was actually led by Stern. And most of the talking was done by Stern. Very interesting. Take a look and listen to this quick segment.
Fantasy I had. I don't know if you're going to debate your opponent.
I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him.
This is how I would handle it. Tell me if I'm nuts. Well, I am nuts, but tell me if this is accurate. I would stand there on stage with Trump and I would repeat over and over again, excuse me, please find me 11,000 votes so that I can win the election. I would just repeat that over and over again. And then I'd say to the audience, what are we debating? a man picked up the phone and wanted to say, fake the election, give me 11,000 votes. I don't know how any American who loves this country, that's the end of the debate. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election.
You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election. Interesting quote there from Stern. I'd argue maybe then Joe Biden shouldn't run. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election. Look, we can talk about 2020, but we don't even have to. Look at it right now. Former President Trump is facing several indictments, many of which are all but verbally stated to be election interference. Like everybody's kind of just accepted that the point of this is to get Trump off the ballot. That's why there was even many court cases to try to get Trump off the ballot directly. It's because it is all election interference. It's all trying to fix an election. But we can talk about 2020, and we will. Remember that Howard Stern just said exactly what he just said, and let's finish up this quick.
That's the end of the debate. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election.
On January 6th, when they were storming the Capitol.
And a police officer died.
Yeah, and he would say nothing. He was sitting in that office
Actually, a police officer did not die on January 6th. A police officer that was at the Capitol that day did end up passing away, but it was not necessarily because of any injuries sustained from the Capitol. The only person that died at the Capitol that day was that young woman. Her name is escaping me right now. But I just always find it, and most of you know this, most of you watching know this, but it's just important to repeat because they'll continue. I mean, even today, Howard Stern basically just lied right on air. So
that dining area off the Oval Office for 3 hours and said nothing. I was supposed to make a speech on the economy that day. Instead, I made a speech from I was in Delaware on that issue because I was elected president, but I wasn't sworn in yet. I was derelict. It was almost criminal. He did nothing. He just sat there and watched what was happening. Not a single. And now he wants to he calls them patriots and victims. And I mean, and says he's going to pardon them all if he's reelected.
Oh my gosh. Consistent lie, half truth, blatant. And it's hard to even call them lies anymore because here is what happens with Joe Biden. Joe Biden, I don't even think he realizes he lies anymore. What Joe Biden does is he just kind of repeats these little stories and stuff that might have at one point in his career started off as relatively true. It probably started off where, yes, I was a lifeguard. And when I was a lifeguard, I learned that things are pretty difficult. Like it could have started off as something pretty reasonable as that. And then all of a sudden now it's when I was a lifeguard, I had these hairy legs and kids loved to play with them because they turned blonde in the sun. And while I was doing that and the kids were playing with my hairy legs, I went and saved 6 people. And then all of a sudden Jesus came down and said, let these 6 people live. And now I'm going home and I'm eating a banana. Excuse me, sir. The question was why we should increase the minimum wage. Like that's literally Joe Biden in a nutshell right now. I don't even it's hard to even, he lies and it's verifiable that in some way he is lying or that he is telling something that is untrue. But I don't even know if he's consciously lying anymore with how often he says these things and the different things he says. But in terms of the statement that he's willing to debate Trump, this is actually something that has been of quite controversy recently, as many people are making assumptions or beliefs that because the office of, or the, whatever it's called, the independent office of presidential debates or whatever it's called, you can look it up. It's not of super importance, but they haven't been able to hammer down dates and times for the debates yet. And so many believe that Biden might try to pull out and that his people might try to avoid that because he obviously can barely form a coherent sentence. And so Trump responded to Biden's claim on Howard Stern's show that he was ready for a debate with this at the courthouse this morning. This is a longer video. I might chop it up a little bit. Take a look and a listen.
So thank you very much. This is 8 days that we've all been sitting in this courthouse. This is all a Biden indictment. It's in order to try and win an election, political opponent, and nothing like this has ever happened. 8 days. As you know, the economy is falling apart now. Now you're seeing it, very little growth. It's going to get worse. Oil prices are going up. You have the college campuses all over closed down. Our country is going to hell. And we sit here day after day after day, which is their plan, because they think they might be able to eke out an election, but I doubt it, because the poll numbers are very good for us. I just want to say that I've invited Biden to debate. He can do it anytime he wants, including tonight. Ready? Here we are. I invited him to the courthouse that he has us tied up in. His administration. This is all being done through Washington. It's all a well-coordinated attack on a political opponent. But I'm here. I'm ready, willing, and able. And if he wants, I'll do it on Monday night, Tuesday night, or Wednesday night. We'll be in Michigan, a state that he's destroyed because of the auto industry. We're not going to have any jobs left in Michigan. No auto jobs left in Michigan. They're all going over to China and other places with this ridiculous EV mandate, electric vehicle mandate. But we're willing to do it Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, or Friday night on national television. We're ready. Just tell me where. We'll do it in the White House. That would be very comfortable, actually. But you tell me where. But we're ready. He's obviously not showing up now. We heard nothing. But he said today that, I'd love to debate, but he won't debate. I don't think he'll debate. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. I'm not sure he has a choice. But that's the story. So here we are. We're ready, willing, and able. And we don't see him, and I don't think he'll be here. But maybe next week he'll do it. I doubt it, but maybe next week. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. I know you have to suffer through this like everybody else. Nothing has come. This is a case that should have never been brought. Every legal scholar, every legal expert, Andy McCarthy, Jonathan, Andy, every single one. Jonathan Turley came out with a scathing report on this trial today. Andy McCarthy, scathing report. Mark Levin, can't believe this is happening in our country. There's no case here. There's no case whatsoever. It's a disgrace.
There's no case here. It's a disgrace. He goes on more with that. But the main purpose of that clip to be discuss how Trump literally said, I challenged him to a debate in the courtroom. He's obviously, we never heard anything, so he's not showing up. But, and then like the Black Eyed Peas, he starts listing the days. He's like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, live TV. We'll do it with Joe Biden in Michigan where he's going to be. We're going to do it. I promise. But he won't do it because he's a coward. He's one of the biggest cowards. Huge, huge coward. That's what he does. And it's beautiful. And he does it. And he gets out there. And I think it's hilarious because here's the beauty of Trump is he gets out there and says this like he is literally about like he's at the table during weigh-in for a UFC fight. Like he's up there just absolute trash talking the man when he's in court because of Joe Biden. And he's just there dogging on him, man. He's dogging him. And this is the funny thing, too, is politicians, I guarantee you what Joe Biden would say something like, well, I didn't have enough time to prep. I didn't have enough time for preparation or anything like that. He'd probably say something dumb like that. And in reality, Trump doesn't need that. Every other politician is all like, well, I need to prep. I need to prep. I need to prep. When in reality, Biden just needs to get his prescription of like A-grade steroids refilled. That's what he needs the time for. But Trump can just get up there and raw dog a debate like it's nothing. Like he can just get up there and just lay into him because Trump is real and Trump is authentic. And so even anybody out there that's watching right now that is like, man, I don't like Trump, blah, blah, blah. I don't like the way he speaks me. And they're just like moaning like they're a petulant child. This is the reason. You don't have to like Trump. I'm not saying you don't have to like Trump, but if you're really that pissy about it and you're like, I don't understand how anybody can like Trump. I just don't get it. Like even Howard Stern, like in that, you're just un-American if you like, no, it's because he's authentic, because he's real. Because he doesn't read so much off the teleprompter to where he actually says pause when that's just a cue. That's why people like Trump. That's why people like Trump. I do want to go back quickly to that one little clip of Howard Stern. But because it's going to introduce the next segment in the fact that nobody should fix an election. And if they do, they shouldn't run for president. And I'll replay that clip and we're going to get to it. But first, I want to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Freedom 2.0. I got a little ad we're going to play from them. Take a look and a listen. But stay tuned because Tucker Carlson talking about elections coming up. Once again, check out Freedom 2.0. They do amazing work. They got some fun little things on the bottle. This water ain't woke. You can go to freedom20.com/USA and you'd be able to find all things Freedom 2.0 and also get 15, I believe it's 15% off. Use this code breakaway at checkout. You get 15% off. Freedom20.com. Go check that out. But now we're going to get into this voter fraud, which is something I'm not technically allowed to say on YouTube, and I might get banned for it, but there's actually real evidence that 1 in 5 ballots potentially during the 2020 election may have been fraudulent. I'm going to use a lot of qualifying language during this segment, but I just want to replay, as we're about to get into this, I want to replay this quick clip from Howard Stern's show with Biden earlier. Guess it's taking a second. One moment. Here we go.
I would stand there on stage with Trump and excuse me, please find me 11,000 votes so that I can win the election. I would just repeat that over and over again. And then I'd say to the audience, what are we debating? A man picked up the phone and wanted to say, fake the election, give me 11,000 votes. I don't know how any American who loves this country, that's the end of the debate. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election.
You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election. Pot, meet the kettle. Take a look at this recently released clip from one of Tucker Carlson's new interviews that he just recently did, in which he exposed that 1 in 5 mail-in ballots in the last election was fraudulent, handing Biden the presidency. Let's take a look and a listen to what he has to say with his guest here in this.
Now, apparently a criminal offense, a felony in this country, to suggest the 2020 presidential campaign was not on the level. That crime appears to form the basis of one of Donald Trump's pending indictments. He's an election denier. But actually, it's worth denying the legitimacy of that election because it was not fair. Critical information was withheld from voters through censorship, and yes, by the government. That is a fact. It's also a fact that Mark Zuckerberg spent $400 million to control voting in various places around the country and affect the outcome. That's not legitimate. It was also conducted in many places through electronic voting machines, and no country should ever use electronic voting machines because fundamentally they cannot be trusted. Why would you trust it? But then there's the question of outright cheating, voter fraud. Was there voter fraud? Well, we know there was some, but was it widespread? That is a hard allegation to prove, though, of course, many people believe there was widespread fraud. Well, now it turns out we know for a fact that there was. And in fact, it can be proven with a poll. Just ask people, did you personally commit voter fraud? Well, that has just been done. And the answer is a huge percentage of people asked in the poll admitted, yes, I committed voter fraud. It's remarkable. Justin Haskins is a senior fellow at the Heartland Institute. He joins us now with details. Justin, thanks so much for coming on. If you could just start by giving us the results, the shocking results of this poll, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So it was pretty straightforward. We asked people a series of questions. The first of which is, or one of the first questions was, did you vote in the 2020 election, and did you vote with an absentee ballot? And if they answered yes to both of those questions, then we asked a bunch of questions related to voter fraud. We didn't tell them that we were asking, did you commit voter fraud? We just asked them about various behaviors. So for example, we asked people, Did you vote in a state where you're no longer a legal resident? That's a pretty straightforward question. If you're not a permanent resident of a state, you can't vote there. 17% of people, nearly 1 in 5, said yes, they did do that. We asked people, did you fill out a ballot for someone else on their behalf? That's also illegal. You're not allowed to fill out someone else's ballot. 21% of people said yes to that question. We asked if people forged the signature of a friend or family member on their behalf, with or without their permission. We actually put that in the poll question, and 17% of people said yes to that. So all told, it's at least, and I say at least, 1 in 5 mail-in ballots involved some kind of fraudulent activity. But we didn't just stop there. We also asked everyone, whether they voted via mail-in ballot or not, so in-person voting as well, do you know anyone who personally, in your personal life, a friend, a family member, acquaintance, someone from work, has anyone ever admitted to you that they did one of these kinds of forms of voter fraud? And 10% and 11%, we asked 2 different questions on that, said yes. People admitted to me that they committed voter fraud.
Thanks a lot for watching us on X. There is a lot more to see, and you can find it on tuckercarlson.com.
I let it play through the end there because I think it's important. If you want to go watch the full interview, do it through Tucker. I don't want to just take his content and pass it off as my own. That's not what I'm doing here. The point of which I'm trying to make is to point out that and spread that exact message that voter fraud did in fact happen, whether you like it or not. Now, we can ask the question because none of this makes the clear and direct notion that, well, it not only is there the refutable fact that just because people admit it doesn't necessarily make it true. Okay, that's not that's definitely some level of an argument against it. We can also discuss the fact that we don't know whether or not those were done for Biden. However, we do know that more mail-in ballots were submitted for Biden than they were for Trump. Republicans are much more likely to vote in person and on election day. But this is the thing, is we will consistently have people that say there was no such thing as voter fraud in 2020, that it was a perfectly clean and fair election, despite those same people also claiming that in 2016 that the Russians had somehow rigged the entire election for Trump. Fascinating how much 4 years can change somebody's opinion. But a new poll, as was mentioned from the Heartland Institute and Rasmussen reports, found that 1 in 5 voters who cast mail-in ballots during the 2020 presidential election admit to participating in at least one kind of voter fraud. And I think it's important to define that term, voter fraud. Now, what they described in the Tucker Carlson interview, which is also what I'm about to go through here as well, is not this idea that in some way we had widespread people that were like, oh man, I am gonna help steal. Like it was some massive coordinated effort to help steal the 2020 election. Like there's if there was like one Dr. Evil behind it and he commanded his minions to help, or like somehow JFK came back from the dead to get all of his people to come back from the dead and vote for Biden. No, it's not necessarily like that. What I'm noticing here is if you look at some of these statistics, if we discuss them a little bit more, they ask questions like during the 2020 election, did you fill out a ballot in part or in full on behalf of a friend or family member, such as a spouse or child? And 21%, or 1 in 5, respondents said that who had voted by mail answered yes. And so here's the thing is, remember in 2020, when everything was shut down and they were like, well, we have to expand mail-in voting. We have to expand mail-in voting. That was the argument, is because COVID, we have to expand mail-in voting. And so while there wasn't necessarily one Dr. Evil that coordinated a very, very easy and straightforward attack to get Donald Trump out of office, it was more so a lot of little things where they threw tomatoes at a wall and hoped something would stick, or at least that it's almost like a death by 1,000 cuts in some way. It's a death by 1,000 cuts in which they did an all-out censorship media attack, an all-out media attack to just basically misinform the public on who Donald Trump was, his accomplishments, a full-out attack on that overblew the COVID-19 pandemic, and then finally enhancing the idea of mail-in voting because they knew that mail-in voting could add up, because there would be this type of voter fraud where here's what could happen is it's not always somebody who they're just like, oh man, like I'm gonna go and take all these ballots and I'm gonna fill them out for Biden because that's gonna rig the election. No. It's not like that. It's not like that. I guarantee you there's Democrat think tanks that knew stats exactly like this, that 20%, 21% of respondents who said they voted by mail also filled out a ballot in full or in part on behalf of a friend or family member, which is legally voter fraud. I guarantee you some Democrat think tanks already knew this. And so what they did was they were like, well, let's just make mail-in voting easier. We'll tell everybody it's about voters' rights and it's because of the pandemic, the plandemic. And then we know that like a good amount of those are going to just be people that are just going to take their dads, their elderly parents, or take their 18-year-old kid who doesn't really care, take their ballot, or take their husbands because he's at work all the time and doesn't really care, or their wives because she doesn't really know enough about politics. Whatever the excuse may be, they knew that people would do this. And so they made it easier. And when I say they, I mean the Democratic politicians that launched the movements to expand mail-in ballot access like 50-fold for 2020. And they knew once the rules were in place, they weren't going to get taken away. We'll say it's for COVID, but it'll be here 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 years from now, thinking that we're all stupid and we're not going to catch on. It's insane. According to election data, more than 43% of 2020 voters cast their ballots by mail, the highest percentage in U.S. history. So they knew. They knew. I think some other interesting stats that are in here, 8% of all respondents, so not as many, but nearly 1 in 10, said a friend, family member, or organization, such as a political party, offered them pay or a reward for agreeing to vote in the 2020 election. Now, this is important because you should not be, one, for the sake of our nation, the incentive to vote should be so that the person in office is someone who will represent you and do the things that you ask of them and want of them, that they genuinely represent you. There should be no other pay or reward. And in fact, there should be no other pay or reward simply because it's illegal to do so. And anybody who does has committed a serious election violation. And yet, no one that I know has gone to jail for this. Why? Beats me. Beats me. The poll of 1,085 likely voters was conducted from November 30th to December 6, 2023. Among those surveyed in the poll, 33% were Republicans, 36% were Democrats, and 31% were other. 32% were 18 to 39, 46 were 40 to 64, and 22 were 65 or older. It's really fascinating to see that when you have all equally split a third between Republicans, Democrats, and other, and then 76% of them being, 78% of them being between the ages of 18 and 64. Staggering to see. And I think it's because we've been framed in our minds by the media to believe that in some way voter fraud is this taboo term that is similar to that of saying you saw a ghost. That doesn't exist. It's not actually there. Voter fraud in some way is framed as if it's this mass coordinated attack. I don't think it's nearly as organized as everybody would like you to believe. It obviously does exist. To what scale is still up to question. But this poll, while self-admitting, shows us more than we knew before. And also is another thing that we can point to when somebody says voter fraud doesn't exist. It absolutely does. And this is your example. Once again, in case you were wondering and wanted to look it up further, that is from the Heartland Institute, which is a free market think tank. And so it's the Heartland Institute, and you can go look up the Heartland Institute. And they also did this with Rasmussen. And it's 1 in 5 mail-in voters admit to committing at least one kind of voter fraud. Everybody, if you like what I have to say, or if you like learning these things, if you find any of this informative, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. No matter where you're watching from, make sure you go retweet this right now from my own personal Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, which is at Kevin V. Phares. I'd really appreciate it. Please go do that. We got more things to talk about here soon on Speechless, but I got to make sure I do produce my own show. And so to do this, I have to pull up other ads or other things in my next content, everything like that, while I'm still talking here. Sometimes I bring up an ad so that it can give me an extra second or whatever. But make sure you guys go get a friend to watch, because there's only one way that we're going to be able to get these messages out to everybody. And that's if you can continue to share everything here. But the next topic we are going to talk about is RFK Jr. discussing the possibility of being Trump's VP. Quite an interesting topic. I'm not really sure what I think, but let me know in the comments. Would you guys want Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to be Trump's VP? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And while you're doing that, also don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. And if you're just tuning in, I am Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative, commentator, activist. I started Turning Point USA at Illinois State University when I was 19, continued it until I graduated from there just back in December. And I have continued to work in the conservative movement from before that until now, and furthering that much more. I love it. And we need to we need to wake people up. I was woken up when I was about 15, 16, and we need to continuously wake more and more people up. That is what my goal is here. And we're going to do that. We are absolutely going to do that. So I want to take a quick second to now discuss the idea. Trump's VP. Who do you want it to be? Some people are floating Kristi Noem. There has been some controversy with Kristi Noem, as there was a Guardian article published in which she talks about the fact that she murdered a dog and a goat when she was a child. Many people on both sides of the aisle are condemning her for this. We're going to talk about that on my Sunday live stream. So make sure that you guys are subscribed and following me, so that you can hear more about that on the Sunday live stream. I mean, of course, you could go read it now, but I'm going to talk about it. We're gonna break it down, and you can be involved in the conversation if you guys just comment. All you gotta do is comment, and you can be involved in that conversation. But let's talk about RFK Jr. Many people have floated RFK Jr. as a potential VP pick for Donald Trump. Anybody who really has looked a little bit further into RFK Jr. should really know that that is not the best option. He is still a Democrat. I mean, he's from the Kennedy family. And if you've ever heard him talk, man, it's quite difficult. And if you haven't, we're about to get to that right here. Take a look at this interview that was just released from RFK Jr., in which he discusses Trump asking him to be his VP potentially. Take a look and a listen.
Mr. Kennedy, you are polling amazingly at 26% in Michigan. And this has scared not only the Biden campaign, the Trump campaign has started a new website, Radical Effing Kennedy. That's the name of the website. Yet you maintain that they approached you about being President Trump's vice president. They say that didn't happen.
Yeah, it did happen, and it happened on multiple occasions. And, you know, there are many people in that campaign, and there's people in the press, including the New York Times, who's interviewed people on the campaign who have said, yeah, we asked them. So I don't care about winning that argument or not. I just mentioned it kind of as as a paradox. But all we need to do is to get to 33% to win the election. Yeah, you don't need 50%. It's a three-way race. It's really a five-way race.
Right.
So all I need is to get to 33%, and I'm close to that in a bunch of states. I'm beating President Trump and President Biden among all young people in this country, everybody under 35 in the 5 battleground states. I'm beating them among all voters under 45. I'm beating them now in the biggest cohort, which is independent voters.
I have no belief that RFK Jr. is going to win 2024, but I do absolutely see the idea that maybe at one point Trump had asked him to be his VP. And I know he says he's not interested in winning that argument, but I do think it's important to discuss the realistic because somebody's lying here, or at least somebody's stretching the truth. I don't actually think anybody's lying. Here's what I think happened is that RFK Jr., because of the following that he had, and because he was starting to gain some level of a following with some conservatives because of his vaccine skepticism, was making headway with some conservatives. And so Trump probably reached out to the campaign, or he had his people reach out to the campaign and probably floated the idea. He was probably like, hey, Bobby J, what do you think, Bobby J, about, I don't know, if we could maybe make a deal, make a great deal, a huge deal, would you maybe think about, it's not set in stone, we'll consider maybe being my VP, my Veep, maybe. I got a lot of things to consider, but I want to know just to maybe check the box. That's what I think probably happened here. It wasn't that they were chasing Bobby Kennedy down. They weren't like, oh my God, please, Mr. Kennedy, be my Veep, be my Veep, be my Veep. You're going to do it. No, I really don't think that's what it was. I couldn't see Trump doing that. Trump doesn't grovel. Not at all. I really, when I see this video, obviously Bobby is not going to be Bobby J, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the man who talks like he's always gotta like shake and a shiver. Like that's how Bobby talks. Obviously he's not going to be the VP. Obviously he's not going to win the presidency. But I do think that he could have some level of an impact on the idea of, hey, if you're disgruntled with the system, it can still work for you. Just give it a sec. I don't love him. He's still a lefty. He's not a conservative. He's not really a Christian. I'm not a big fan. But he's better than Biden. And he's probably, ideally, going to take some votes away from Biden. What do you guys think? Am I totally wrong? Do you think he should be Trump's VP? Do you think that's what America needs? Why? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that heart wherever you're watching from. I heart you, so you heart down there. Please and thank you. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. That was just a little quick hit for you guys this Friday evening. And to celebrate this Friday, I am going to get to some TikToks. We're going to react to some fun TikToks, some of which even my girlfriend sent me. And she sends me just some of the wackiest ass shit. Pardon my French, but she does. And so we're going to talk about that stuff and a lot more. I want to get to this next story here soon. But before I do that, I also want to shout out Freedom 2.0, which does some amazing work and has supported a lot of conservatives. When I say amazing work, the reason why I say that is because what Freedom 2.0 does is they just support conservatives, period. They support Turning Point USA. They support the Trump campaign. They support Breakaway USA, which I'm a part of. They support so many different people. And it's just absolutely fascinating to me. I mean, this one company that's about water is really helping out the conservative movement. So go check them out and take a look quickly at this ad. I know it's a little cheesy, but give it a break. It's kind of cute. Take a look.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some Freedom 2.0. Now, the Constitution is awesome. Type 1A.
Man, I love that. Again, check out Freedom 2.0. They do great work. God bless them. God bless America. God bless some good old hydrating juice. And no fluoride in this baby. I love it. And if you're just joining me, my name is Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Please do. Comment what you think, share it with your friends. But let's get into this story here. Inside the failed White House coup to oust Biden press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, the French black lesbian. Out of the New York Post, top aides to President Biden secretly hatched a plan to past fall this past fall to replace White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre by recruiting outside allies to nudge her out the door. The Post has learned Jean-Pierre, who made history in May 2022 by becoming the first Black and openly gay person to hold the position, had developed the exacerbating habit of reading canned answers directly from a binder to reporters at regular briefings, offering what her superiors viewed as a less than compelling pitch for the 81-year-old president as he readied his re-election campaign. De facto White House communications chief Anita Dunn, 66, the wife of Biden personal attorney Bob Bauer, told colleagues that he had decided to call in prominent Democrats to explain to Jean-Pierre, 49, that the time was ripe to move on. Sources told the Post, quote, there was a number of people who asked to engage Karine. Or she asked to engage, a number of people she asked to engage Karine, said one source who heard the strategy directly from Dunn, whose role as senior advisor has been filled during the past 3 presidencies by Jared Kushner, Valerie Jarrett, and Karl Rove. The source also told the Post that Dunn had claimed the White House chief of staff, Jeff Zients, knew about the supported the cloak and dagger scheme to push Jean-Pierre out of the West Wing. There was an effort to have some folks who Karine knows and trusts talk to her about why leaving last fall would have made a lot of sense for her and her career, the source said, calling it in an effort to encourage her to move along. So a lot of people were in on this. A lot of people knew, like, hey, Karine, it might be your time. People might not like you. You might not be that great. You really, sorry, AARP is not an ad. I just have my little thing up there from the website and it came up. But yeah, so Karine Jean-Pierre, like a lot of people in the Biden White House were like, hey, maybe we should let this chick go. She's not doing a very good job. Jean-Pierre, the person had been in the job for a year and a half at that point, which is pretty standard tenure for a press secretary and what is admittedly a very demanding job. Jeff and Anita tried to have folks that she would listen to and trust talk to her about why it might be wise to leave. Jean-Pierre's predecessor, Jen Psaki, who we all know, Jen Psaki was the one who couldn't get through a single question without saying, let's circle back to that. She was the circle back girl. But Jean-Pierre's predecessor, Jen Psaki, was press secretary for 1 week shy of 16 months before leaving to take a job as the host and analyst at MSDNC. And a second source told the Post that Jeff and Anita were trying to find Karine a graceful exit because of the ugly optics of removing her against her will. There's a huge diversity issue, and they're afraid of what folks are going to say, added the source, who said they learned of the effort from multiple people briefed by Dunn and confirmed at least one person from outside the administration did speak with Jean-Pierre. The revelation of Dunn's plan is likely to make an awkward workplace dynamics, the first source added, but it's unlikely to result in Jean-Pierre's departure. So basically, here's what I'm hearing. Jean-Pierre was wanted gone. She wasn't doing a very good job of making Biden look good, which is like kind of the press secretary's job a little bit. It's like the unofficial description of what she's supposed to be doing. And she wasn't doing a very good job. But she had done, because the original plan for Jean-Pierre, the original plan was to say, hey, you're a woman, or at least you look enough like one. You're also Black. And you happen to be a lesbian. I don't care what comes out of your mouth. You're hired. Because she fit the mold. Because she was a diversity hire. And it's funny to see that this is what happens because us conservatives consistently say, maybe we should hire people on merit. I don't care if you're a trans, Black, Muslim woman from outer space. Like, I don't give a crap. I just want you to be able to fly the plane. Well, Jean-Pierre couldn't fly the metaphorical plane, but they hired her anyways. And she has been doing a terrible job ever since. I mean, there's been several times on this show where I bring her up just for comedic relief because she gets up there and says some of the dumbest crap imaginable. She doesn't have a grasp on the issues, according to this single source. There's an enormous amount of work that goes into getting ready, the first source said, and consistently she does not put in that level of work. In response, White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates told the Post, not only are these claims wildly false, but the reality is the polar opposite. Karine was never approached by anyone with such a message. She spends 4 hours preparing every day, and neither Jeff nor Anita did any such thing. Both have been unflinchingly supportive of her. Bates added Friday morning, every press secretary uses the binder. Why is she being singled out? Oh, asking the question, why is she being singled out? That's them like prepping, like they're marinating. They're sliding the butter onto the bread to just feed you some crap about how anybody who asks about her qualifications must be a racist, sexist, homophobe. Like that's exactly what they're trying to get you ready for. That's insane. That's insane. In December, not long after word of Dunn's plan circulated in the White House, Jean-Pierre received and rejected an unsolicited offer to become president of Emily's List, a major Democratic group that raises money for female candidates who support expanded abortion rights. When NBC News reported on the offer in February, the outlet said that Jean-Pierre had emphatically told the group that she was committed to the president and I'm not going anywhere. Interesting. So right around the time that she's being ousted, she gets a public offer to like some super big lefty group and she doesn't take it. Man, look, I'm inclined to believe this story. I'm inclined to believe that Jean-Pierre was not a good look. I mean, and this is from my best ability to put on my objective hat and say, if I were a Democrat, I could see where they're coming from. They hired this girl because she fit the diversity mold. She looked good. She was articulate enough. Let's do it. But then she didn't really pan out. But you can't fire her because she is the first Black gay woman. And that's like what we care about as Democrats. So let's just like kind of try to give her a good nudge and say, like, please leave. But she knows. This is the thing. Now let's give the credit where the credit's due. Karine Jean-Pierre knows that she was a diversity hire. She knows that she didn't earn this position, but she doesn't care. And she likes the spotlight. That's really what I think it is. She likes the spotlight. And so she doesn't care if they don't think she's doing a good job. She knows that they won't fire her because she knows that she could just come out. She's got the proverbial gun to their head with 3 bullets loaded. And those bullets on each one of them engraved say racist, sexist, homophobe. And she might even have some others loaded in there to make a full 6-round revolver or 8-round revolver, whichever you're picking. And that's like bigot. And I don't know, maybe just for funsies, like transphobe. She comes out as a man for a sec. I don't know. But that's fascinating to me. Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, on the way out. Maybe we'll see a not so graceful exit in her future. Maybe she'll be here for quite a while. We shall see. Very interesting to see from the New York Post. What a fascinating story. If you guys like that one, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. Had to take a quick sip there. Don't go anywhere. We are going to end this show out with some TikTok reaction videos. Some that I will admit my girlfriend sent me. And I've got to, because I do produce my own show, I do get a sneak peek at some of these, and I do think they're quite funny. So I'm going to pull all of these up here and get them ready so we can just like hammer through them one by one, do some good reactions here. In the meantime, once again, guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. Definitely reshare too. If you're currently watching on Twitter, don't forget to reshare. And if you're wondering, how do I breathe? Well, it's very, very, it takes a lot of practice. I just go, whoo. I eventually breathe at some point during all of my podcasts. I do like to talk though. And if you ever want to join the show or you want to be involved in some way, don't forget that I don't just react to things that my girlfriend or my friend sends me. No, you can send me something to react to. All you got to do is hit up speechlesskp@gmail.com. I have the infrastructure set up so that I can do that. So once again, don't forget to go do that. We got some different TikToks here. We're going to go through all of them. Some of them are we'll see how much I can take from each of them because some of these already look absolutely wild. If you also want to support the show in another way, don't forget that you could also Venmo or Cash at me right there. I'm not going to beg for it. I just would appreciate it if you would consider maybe because I am a soon-to-be law student at Liberty University, attending Liberty Law School, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But it's also going, and it's going to be a very educational experience. But it's also going to cost a lot of money. And so if you'd like to support me in making this content and bringing that out there to people, please consider maybe hitting up my Venmo or Cash App. Even just a little bit helps. All goes towards making this show better and also towards my law school one and honestly both of those. So please consider doing that. God bless you. God bless America. Now let's get into some TikTok reactions. Let's just play a little intro video here. And we are back, ending out this show on this Friday night. If you missed this live stream and you're watching this recorded, just keep on catching the show. Keep an eye on it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, and make sure when you subscribe, hit that notification bell, ring it to all, because you never want to miss anything that we're talking about here. Huge shout out also to Freedom20. Go check out freedom20.com. Use code BREAKAWAY at checkout for 15% off. But now let's get into these different TikToks we got here that we're going to react to. I have not seen the entirety of any one of these videos. I have previewed some of them, so I could just know because I had to, because I can't blind react because I produce my own show. But let's take a look and listen to this first one we got here. It looks wild. So here's this.
This is a message to cis men. I'm not too familiar with this interaction because I usually don't talk to cis men. However, I do feel like it's important. So hi, sissies.
No, stop it. Cisgender is actually a slur in my opinion.
Just jokes. So cis men, when you are invited by a straight woman to a lesbian bar, and yes, this is in regard to the straight woman who invited a cis man to a lesbian bar and all the stitches that came from it. Okay, first of all,
if I got invited to a lesbian bar, I would say no.
You can always say no, we shouldn't go, and suggest to go to a
Man, I actually agree with her.
straight bar across the street with your straight woman so she won't feel the need to pop off on a lesbian and defend the patriarchy. Ooh, and sometimes it's hard to do that for straight women, and that's a whole issue in itself. And if you don't feel like saying no, well, stop being so creepy in general, not just at a lesbian bar.
Wait, so cis men in general, the ones that, do you remember, so she, go back here when she says she doesn't, I usually don't talk to cis men, so she doesn't really talk to them, but she also knows that they're creepy somehow. Oh, I fast forwarded too much. Apparently she puts on a mask. This will be fun. Let's go back to where I was.
Stop taking up space in a place that's not your own.
Stop taking up space in a place that's not your own. I could say the same thing to you when you have your pride parades and I can't drive down the flippin' road because you and your rainbow flags gotta take up all the damn space.
You know what I mean? I mean, we still have to wear these masks because of the patriarchy failing the world. And
or because you're a brainwashed lunatic that can't accept reality.
Honestly, your presence only reminds us of this.
Your presence reminds me that we have an entire half of society that wants the metaphorical Rome of America to fall.
Bars are here for us to take a serious break from y'all. Like, this is our wellness checkup where we can cry in each other's arms for things to get better and where we would not be afraid to express our hyper femininity or our non-toxic masculinity.
Whoa. Your non-toxic masculinity? I'm sorry, but I've definitely met lesbians that have very toxic masculinity. I'm just saying. Now, they're not men, but they are definitely butch. And you all know exactly what I'm talking about.
Just so important for us to see. So main point is, let's not take up each other's spaces. And there's not very many lesbian spaces. I don't even have a lesbian space in my hometown or anything like that.
Do you not? I mean, you could call your apartment a lesbian space if you yourself are a lesbian and it's your space. Would that not make it a lesbian space? Maybe.
I would have to travel hours. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have one, but I would love one. And if I did have one, please don't take up the space.
I also like never even got a chance to like just talk about how it looks like she was babysitting like a 6-year-old, and was like, the 6-year-old was like, "Can I do your makeup?" And she said, "Sure." And then she let him do that. And so then she also let the 6-year-old like pick out her flipping Care Bear hoodie and like whatever the heck is making up that hair and those god awful earrings, all of it. Like she just let a 6-year-old do everything for her, and then also let a 6-year-old decide her opinions. That seems to be exactly what has happened in that situation. Thank you. Next TikTok to react to. This one looks interesting. It starts off with this thing. It says, "I require all my guests to use the bathroom outside." I would say that's not a bad thing if you have like an outhouse, if you live in like an older area and you still have an outhouse. But she's holding a shovel and toilet paper, so I'm not really I'm not very confident.
Require all my guests to use the bathroom outside. Hi, my name is Ivy Bloom, and this is my outdoor potty area. I used to let my friends use the bathroom in my house, but I've since learned how unsanitary that is.
What the heck? I would not be your friend anymore. Also, you care about being sanitary? What the heck? I can see you literally have a belly button ring. That doesn't look very sanitary, Karen. I don't know her name, but I'm going to assume.
Before entering the potty area, I require guests to put on these foot covers, and first-timers are required to read the rules. The most important rule is to dig at least 6 inches from an existing stick, because that's where another guest has dug a hole. It's pretty simple. You just dig a hole, do what you have to do, and put your toilet paper on top. I provide seeds that must be placed inside to keep my garden growing, and once that's...
I love how she has a stick everywhere that somebody's pooped. Every place that somebody has pooped, she's just like, yeah, put a stick down there so we remember. Like, I just can't believe it.
Placed inside, you cover it up with the dirt you dug up, and then place some leaves on top. The last thing you have to do is mark the spot with one of these sticks. I do live in Arizona and it gets really hot, so I provide a bucket with refreshments and snacks that visitors can snack on while using the bathroom. And yes, there is a privacy curtain. Once that's done, they can take the covers off their feet and wash them in this bucket. Then they have to place them in...
Wait, so I've totally forgot. She has snacks that you eat while you shit outside, but at the very beginning of this, she talked about caring about being sanitary, and she's also now talking about washing the flippin' foot covers. This woman does not care about like any type of sanitation. She's a dirty, rotten hippie.
This jar so that the next guest can use them. Once my guest is done using the bathroom, I require them to sign this journal. And I do respectfully ask for tips because maintaining this
is the problem. This is the whole thing. It's all about the flippin' tips. It's all about, and then she says maintaining this area can get a little expensive. What would be more expensive? Cleaning your damn bathroom and just letting your children? I'm sorry, not your children. I say children because she's treating everybody like a child. No, your friends. Maybe just let your friends take a poop inside, and then you wouldn't be. And then $20 for a flippin' tip? Jesus Christ, $20? I go to a classy restaurant, and there's that guy waiting to give me a mint, and even then I'm like, do I really need to tip him? All he did was just like listen to me take a poop. Like, what the heck? This doesn't make any sense. And then she's got the snacks out there. This is so ass backwards. This is some of the most liberal hippy dippy bullcrap I've ever seen. And I am so unhappy with this being sent to me. It's so stupid. These are some of the stupidest people I've ever seen. You know that? These are literally some of the stupidest people I have ever seen. Something tells me this next one isn't going to help me feel much better about it. But thank you. Next, let's get on to the next one here. Oh God. This is what I pull my screen up to. I just love the headline on this. It says, "It's impossible to find jobs right now." Now, I hope you're looking. I hope you're watching. Because if you are, you'd see exactly why it's impossible to find jobs right now. This one's like 3 minutes long. Let's go through all of it.
So I wanted to come on here and talk about something that is really starting to annoy me. So
What might that be? Is it the holes in your face?
Applied for a job at TJ Maxx a few weeks ago, and they denied my application. They couldn't even call me. They just sent me some automated email. So I went in today and I was like, so what was the reason I didn't get hired? And she was like, oh, like you just like don't have enough experience. There was candidates that had like more experience than you. And, you know, I asked her if it was about my tattoos, obviously, because I know a lot of places don't like tattoos. She said that wasn't the reason. I don't feel like that's true, but
See, okay, here's the thing though, is like, okay, let's actually like look at some of these tattoos like that she's got. So she's got like all these face tattoos and everything like that. And she's also obviously got like she looks like a cow with the flipping the nostril one there. She's got like these other ones that are right on her jaw. But the crazy thing about this too is, okay, if you had like a tattoo on your neck, it would still be like gaudy, and I wouldn't recommend it. And I would think you're stupid if you haven't. But if you had a tattoo across your neck that said like sunshine, that'd be one thing. This woman has a tattoo protruding from her chest area that obviously looks like a satanic goat's head with the like upside down star for Satan. This kind of like demonic like spider thingy. Like, it's not, you can't reduce this to being, is this about my tattoos? Because it's not just the fact that you have tattoos, it's also what your tattoos are of. Like, you realize that some people find that offensive, right? Like, if I had a tattoo, like, imagine if you had a tattoo across your forehead that was like like if you look like Charles Manson with like the Nazi symbol, yeah, you might have a hard time finding employment. Idiot.
but whatever, I'll leave it at that. So I'm just wondering how like teenagers and young adults who haven't had a job before, how are they supposed to get employed if these places are only hiring people with experience? So younger people just can't get a job because they haven't worked enough.
Okay, also, by the way, I don't know if anybody is going to call out the fact that she has blackface on her arm. I don't know if you can see that right there on that arm. I don't know how much of the arm it is, but it looks like she's trying to be another race. Just saying, like she's opposite Michael Jacksoning this crap, and it's kind of bull crap. But what I will say is she's kind of got a point a little bit. Is I do agree that TJ Maxx should be honest with her. I think they should flat out be like, yeah, you're like, they should have a policy, a clear policy that says we will not hire you if you have offensive tattoos or offensive body art, however you want to frame it to make it legal. Like that's against your code of conduct. Do that. Be honest with her. Because like that's kind of what she's getting at. She's like, how is a teenager supposed to get a job if like without experience or anything like that? She's kind of got a point. And that is kind of a BS excuse. Tell her it's because of the way she looks. This is the problem, is we live in a society where we're not only are we afraid to, we're also not allowed to bully people anymore because you could get into like legal issues. Like, oh man, like you didn't hire, that's discrimination, blah, blah, blah. No. You should be, if you're going to look like this in public, you should be discriminated against.
So like they'll deny a 16-year-old a job because they don't have enough work experience. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I do okay with money as is, so I didn't like need the job, but I would have liked it to have made some extra money so I could pay off my debt quicker.
It's a weird flex to be making. Like I do okay. Like this is a video about you like maybe getting discriminated against or like experience at a work job, and you're over here like oh, maybe like I do okay enough with money. Like if you really need to say it, do you? I don't know.
I want you guys to talk about in the comments what it's been like for you finding a job recently, like if it's been easy or if it's been difficult. And I want to know like what kind of experience you guys have, because I want to see if I'm the only person that's like experiencing this right now or not. And, you know, I hate that my tattoos are such a defining factor for me getting a job or not.
No, you don't. I'm going to let her finish, but just think about this. To say I hate that my tattoos are such a defining factor, no, you don't. Not even a little bit.
Like, just because I have tattoos doesn't mean I'm not going to be a good worker. Like, I do not understand that at all. because quite literally some of the most smart, intelligent people I've ever met are people with tattoos and piercings.
Yes. Yes. But you're not applying for a job to be smart and intelligent. Like, that's not the purpose of your job. Your job is not to reinvent the wheel. Your job at TJ Maxx, I don't know exactly the job that she was applying for, but your job is to like restock the racks at TJ Maxx, restock things, check people out. Literally, your job is to like be a welcoming individual with like a little bit of manual labor. Like, that's your job, to be a welcoming individual. And your entire appearance does not scream welcoming at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Like, you look like an adversary off the bat. So yes, and the other thing too is, yes, you do want your tattoos. You don't get tattoos like that. You don't get a tattoo across your forehead and then get mad at people and say, why are you noticing the tattoo across my forehead? If you do that, what you did is, and this is what we're seeing now, is we have monetized, we have created this idea of social capital for victim statuses. We have created a level of social capital if you can claim a certain level of being a victim. And so what this woman has done is she realized, well, I'm technically a white woman. And so like, I'm really not that much of a victim. And so to the left's pedagogy is I'd have to apologize for being white. I'd have to apologize for supporting the patriarchy as a white woman. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own victim status by putting on these tattoos, by looking crazy, by begging for attention and then getting mad at people for giving me the attention I'm begging for, because it's negative attention, but I'm begging for negative attention. That's exactly what she's doing.
I could be wrong, but I've seen that like in Europe, like people with tattoos and piercings can get jobs like way easier there. So
then move to Europe, idiot.
Oh, why is America not hopped on the bandwagon? Another thing too,
because we have different standards. We're a different country. That's just like being like, hey, why is it that America, like it's this, the Middle East throws gays off buildings. Like, would you be like, hey, Middle East, get on the bandwagon? It's not about the bandwagon. It's about cultural differences, different expectations of our civilization, different beliefs in how society and lives should be lived. By no means, I also want to put an asterisk on all this. By no means am I endorsing the idea that the Middle Easterners throw gays off buildings. I think that's abhorrent. But I'm just saying, like, it's the entire idea. I took it to an extreme to illustrate the idea that there are cultural differences among different countries. You imbecile.
Too is like all these places they say that they're hiring, but I feel like they're not.
They're not hiring you, idiot.
Because I shop at all of these stores and I see hiring now signs, but those signs have been up for months and I know plenty of people are looking for work. So how have they still not hired people? Sorry for the long ranting video, but I just feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. It's so annoying. And for anyone that is looking for a job right now that is younger and doesn't have experience, I truly wish you the best of luck because it is very hard out here right now.
I don't know if she's actually being kind of satirical when she talks about the fact that like, oh, it's about experience or anything. No, like it's clearly about your tattoos. There's no other reason there's no other reason you really need to not hire this woman. And it's kind of hilarious to me that anybody would see anything that she would even think it's about experience. And you should be able to accept. I mean, you asked for this. You asked for this. Like the whole tattoo debate has been happening for like since the 90s. About like it used to be like even worse, where it was like if you had a tattoo that was literally showing anywhere, you wouldn't get hired at a place like TJ Maxx. Like now, I'm sure their policy is just like, yeah, like just like don't have it like be gaudy and disgusting and offensive. And unfortunately, you donkey brained idiot, you couldn't even follow that. So no, go back to, and she says she's doing fine on money. Go back to your OnlyFans because that's probably what you're actually doing. And I actually don't want you to do that. What I'd really like you to do, okay, let's be honest here. What I'd really like this woman to do, let's bring her back up on screen because now I feel bad. I'm sorry for being so mean. What I'd really like you to do is go pray and to get the tattoo removal that you so desperately need. But I'm praying for you because you're obviously so far off the path that you're supposed to be. But God, that's so sad. So sad. So sad for that woman. I'm sorry for being so mean. I shouldn't be that mean. It's naughty of me. All right, this next one. It's hard to not be mean to some of these. Next TikTok reaction. Let's get on into it right here.
I just got misgendered in Target, and
God flipping damn it. Sorry, I just used his name in vain. It's a Christian show, family show. I'm sorry. Sorry for cursing. Sorry for cursing. But how is it that it's just one thing after another? I just got misgendered in Target. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. These people. I don't have the patience for this today.
I'm going to talk about it for a second because I love that I'm like at this point in my transition where it's like, I almost like don't care. Like, yeah, I go by he, him pronouns, but like.
You obviously do care. You're literally taking your time out of your day to record this TikTok video about how much you care about it. So don't sit here and be like, it's almost like I don't even care. Like, shut up. Yes, you obviously do.
I really don't care because look, I've never like gotten on here and outwardly said it, but I think at the end of the day, we all know that I am a little bit non-binary. So I have days where I'm feeling a little bit more feminine and days where I'm feeling a little bit butch. Anyways, back to the recent Target interaction. I just want to point out that I think the woman was actually confused, and I think that she thought I was a trans woman.
Seems like you're the one that's confused, bucko.
Which I feel like probably happens quite often. But you may notice that I really need to shave. Okay, like my stubble's coming in. I really need to shave that, but also my chest and the tits were out today. The tits were titting, honey. So I loved that interaction, feeling almost hopeful because I was like, okay, we live in a time, a day and age where obviously people look and see a hairy chest and they think that a woman can have a hairy chest. And I love that. I think that's amazing. Anyway, so that woman kept being like, she, her, and ma'am. And I was like, yes. I was like, this could be the chest of a woman. Thank you. I just got
so I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to believe anymore. If you're a woman that has a hairy chest, like, I don't know, what's the script I'm supposed to read now? Like, gun to my head, am I supposed to say like slay queen or something like that? I don't even know. If you're a woman with a hairy chest, go you. It's just like not my problem. Like, I don't really care. And this person, this is what your kids are seeing on TikTok. That's my reaction to that one. I think I got like one more here. These are really like taking a lot out of me to react to. Like, I don't know if you guys feel it on your end, but the level of like anger and disgust, like this is the thing. Is so there. Why do I do this? Why do I do this? I do these reaction videos because one, I think they're entertaining. Like they are kind of fun. I'll admit that. They're kind of fun. But like the amount of like disgust and anger and like bad emotions that I'm putting myself through for this, I'll be praying tonight, and each and every one of you should pray. And I'd be honored and flattered if you prayed for me. But really, the people we should be praying for is like every single person in any of these videos, because they're all toxic and have gone through a lot. Oh, it's this one again. You guys remember that like one that had the whatever it was, the makeup of the 6-year-old? Yeah, she's back. Don't worry. Here's her. Take a look and listen to today's pronoun of the day. Today's pronoun of the day. And don't forget, guys, if you're just tuning in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. But let's get to this. Today's pronoun of the day
is rat rats. So I've actually done rat rats pronouns, oh my gosh, years ago. And initially I was kind of like, whoa, rat rats pronouns?
Rot rots pronouns. Rot rots pronouns.
It kind of sounds a little worrisome. I just wanted to see and have a better understanding of why someone would use rot rots pronouns. Not that it's really something that someone has to explain, but
I'll give it an example of when I'm not really using it as a pronoun, but you're rotting my brain. This content rots my brain. Rots my brain. You rot my brain.
But I really appreciated that neo-pronoun users came into the comment section and were my heroes for explaining why it feels comfortable. So these could be seen as death-related pronouns, and death-related pronouns are kind of common. A lot of us wouldn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that. And the reason they exist is because some people in this world do find a comfort in death, and some people might even have an illness that is causing them to die. Just remember that
This content is causing me to die mentally.
these are people's personal experiences. They're not yours. And especially when you have a hard time relating to gender. And
What if they are my personal experiences? Did she just like totally misappropriate my personal experiences? She has no idea who I am. What the heck is wrong with this woman? She is absolutely, oh, and I just misgendered her. Oh my God, I'm going to liberal hell. This is going to happen. Ah, like literally, this is some of the most mind-numbing, rotting, dumb crap that your children are watching on TikTok right now.
gender in a way can feel like it's dead to you. Maybe that's also a reason to use rots pronouns. A lot of neo-pronoun users like sounds. So maybe the sound of the word just feels nice. It almost brings chills to your bodies. But
you know what sounds really nice to me is anything that does not include this person's voice.
In a good way. Like you hear something for the first time and you're like, whoa, that almost feels magical in a way. Rot is very vocal about not liking a two-party system. Voting in local elections is crucial to not only Rot, but so many more. Although it might take a while to create the change Rot craves, it is still important to keep Rot self informed and dedicated to politics.
Wait, I want to try some of these, but I want to use, because she used she had like a lot of liberal crap in there. So she had like this one, which was voting in local election. That actually is like a pretty,
Not only Rot,
but if we go to like back to this one, Rot is very vocal about not liking a two-party system. Rot is a based ass MFer that thinks abortion is murder. Rot is very vocal about how these TikToks are stupid. Am I using them correctly yet? Am I using them correctly? Maybe. Let's keep going.
It might take a while to create the change Rot craves, it is still important to keep Rot self informed and dedicated to politics. Please remember that I'm not a teacher. I am just a friend here to help validate you through your pronoun journey or whatever journey you're going through.
Through my pronoun journey. What is this, like the worst ride at Disneyland?
And do not forget that I love to sing and I love to dance. I do plan on going live tonight, so I hope to see you there because I'm going to be doing some karaoke. And on this channel, we believe that no being is free until we are all free, and that means all over the world.
Did you know the actually only way that you can experience freedom is through Christ? And this woman is the furthest away from it that I've ever seen. Do not forget to respect each other's pronouns. She said she was going to go live. I don't think this is from today. No, it does not look like she's live right now, but this is lesbian Snow White, in case anybody was interested in going to find lesbian Snow White. We already did one reaction to another lesbian Snow White. It looks like maybe I'm getting blocked. I don't even know, because I can't seem to find any more videos from lesbian Snow White. Looks like lesbian Snow White doesn't want me to watch any more of her content. But that's all the TikToks I had for today, everybody. And it is getting pretty late here in Northern Illinois. I can see some phenomenal comments, but before I get to some of those and sign off here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. I'm Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless here. But let's get to some of these comments before I sign off. I see Orange Crush said, "So good to see young conservatives." Thank you, Orange Crush. I hope that you're subscribing, and make sure you always keep commenting. Share what you think on these different stories. Ask questions. If you have any questions from a young conservative, I mean, like, I'm more than happy to answer anything. Thank you, Demon Goral, who's one of my constant things. You wish you could spend 10 minutes with my OBS, like with my system. So, I mean, if you want to produce my show, if you want to help produce my show, Alectatious Gaming, I'd love to have you help out with that. I'm actually not using OBS. I'm using StreamYard. But shoot me an email. I'll put it up on screen. Shoot me an email, speechlesskp@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. They do that. Shoot me an email and we can connect and I'll do something if you want it. But definitely hit me up there. You're calling yourself Roddy in the bedroom. It's a good one, Demon Girl. You're quite funny. Whoever you're sharing that bedroom with, I hope that they enjoy it. Her voice makes me want to stab myself in the eyes. That's fascinating. Perfect. Thank you very much, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Thank you for doing what you do, Kev. Tough gives us hope in the future. I don't know if you meant in whatever way it gives you hope. I hope I give you hope. That's the thing. And please, 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 anybody that you know that needs some of this hope, I'm praying for them. And I genuinely mean that. I'm praying for them. Every Sunday when I'm in church, I take time and there's people I specifically pray for. My family, myself, my girlfriend, her family, my family that's not only here, but dead, but then also the people and like that support me. When I say the people that support me, I pray for the people that support me. And that includes some of the people I already listed, but that also includes certain people like OCD 93, OCDD 93. You're a person who supports me. I've never met you in my life. I got to be honest, I don't see you in my comment section all that often, which is fine. Like I'm not getting mad at you about that or anything. I don't see you in my comment section all that often. But what I mean by that is that I pray for you every single Sunday. Whether or not you're in my comment section, I'm sure that you've watched some of my videos, that you've in some way supported me in other ways by maybe talking about me to somebody, or even just watching at one time and taking the moment to think about what's been going on. And that's in a way supporting me. And so I pray for you every single Sunday, and I'd appreciate it if you would consider doing the same for me. That's what I'm trying to say here. You, not though, you give us hope for the future. Thank you so much. But once again, if you guys want to be involved in the show even further, I do have a mailbag, and I have multiple emails in my mailbag I'm going to start getting to sometime. I might go live tomorrow, but I will definitely be live on Sunday. Make sure to not miss a minute of that. And to not miss a minute of that, subscribe. What I might even start doing is I might even get an email list going so that I can, and it's not going to be like, I'm not going to inundate you with like a lot of different things, but it's just going to be reminders that my show is going live and when I'm going live, because YouTube tries to screw me and make it so that I can't, and that I don't go live, or that, not that I don't go live, but that you guys don't get reminded that I go live. So please, just stay subscribed, ring that notification bell. I'll have an email list thing set up so that I can start making that soon. Please stay awake. Keep praying. It's helping. God bless you guys. God bless America. And until next time, thank you so much for watching Speechless.